Welcome to the third episode, edition or episode?
Yes.
Edition or episode? Which one? Episode makes sense. Welcome to the third episode of Hops and Handshakes. Today we are at Brewery Vivant on this warm, sunny day here in Michigan. And if you haven't been here before, it's right off of Cherry Street here in the, what do you call this? Heritage Hill, East Town, in between there, that area?
Something like that.
If I use Google, right? Anyway, we are meeting a good friend of mine, Mr. Jordan Bush from Alice Law. We'll ask him a bunch of questions, see if he can divulge any secrets, maybe get him in trouble with his wife. Could be fun. So let's go inside and grab a adult beverage, right?
When you get older, plainer, saner, will you remember all the danger we came from? Burning like embers, falling tender, longing for the days of no surrender years ago. And will you know? So smoke them if you got 'em, 'cause it's going down. All I ever wanted was you. I'll never get to heaven 'cause I don't know how.
It's gone.
All right. We are inside Brewery Vivant with Mr. Dr. Jordan Bush himself from Alice Law. Jordan, give us the bio.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm gonna. Oh,
Yeah.
cheers.
Cheers. This is not water, you know? Hops and Handshakes for a reason. All right.
I'm an attorney with Alice Law, and we focus on estate planning, elder law, and real property.
Sure.
My focuses as a practice areas really are in estate planning, helping families put together estate plans to protect what they've taken a lifetime to build, and then do real estate transactional and related work as well.
How many people really need an estate plan?
The way we look at it is if you're 18 years or older and you can still fog a mirror, you need an estate plan. And one of the most common things we hear at our practice is, well, I'm not a multimillionaire. I don't have, all of different properties, and everyone needs an estate plan.
Sure.
Something as simple as just letting your loved ones know exactly what you want to happen to your stuff.
Well, that's a huge deal.
It is.
Leaving a significant, regardless of your stuff, it's the burden that you put on people when you leave this planet. Right?
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
And people have more stuff than they actually realize. Very few people actually realize what
Yes.
their net worth is. And when you start talking about retirement accounts and life insurance benefits, all of a sudden when we put somebody's life up on the whiteboard, they go, I had no idea I was worth whatever it is. So I would say if you are still breathing and you're over 18 years old, you need to have some sort of an estate plan. And that could mean anything from as simple as a will and a power of attorney, all the way up to a multi-generational estate plan, tax avoiding estate plan. Everybody needs to have something in place.
Perfect. We'll dive into that in a second. Tell me a little bit, give me a background on Jordan Bush, because you haven't always done this.
No. I'm new to the Alice Law team.
Okay.
Prior to joining the Alice Law team, I was the district director for Congressman Justin Amash for about 5.5 years.
Okay.
So I worked within Congress for the congressman here in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And my role there was to basically be the congressman when he couldn't be in the state of Michigan. I would run our constituent services and our outreach out of our congressional office, and did that since the congressman started in office in 2011. Before that, I was a real estate attorney and in real estate development. So started in commercial real estate in about 2005.
Okay. At the peak of the market, baby.
As when deals were so hot, it wasn't a matter of if we could do a deal; it was how many deals you could get done.
Okay.
Rode that roller coaster from 2005 through the Great Recession in 2008 and 2009, when deals just weren't happening at all.
Sure.
And before I got in real estate, I was actually a state of Michigan employee for the Family Independence Agency. So I went from
Public-private.
I'd go back and forth.
It's a little
absolutely.
hopscotch.
It is.
All right, so that's very interesting. Very few people have done that.
Yeah.
What, as you go through a career and you learn pieces along the way to develop your true self, right? What pieces have you taken from each position, especially, I mean, it's one thing to go from company to company, it's another one to be public to private, because they are two different worlds.
Absolutely.
So how do you take the best of both worlds and mold it together what you're doing?
Yeah, I think the idea of flexibility is critical.
Okay.
I think back when our parents and our grandparents worked, they joined a company, they worked for 30 years, they got the gold watch,
Sure.
and they were off on retirement.
Sure.
And that's just no longer how the economy works. My first job out of college was with the state of Michigan, and I was there. Knew I wasn't going to be there long term. Knew I was going to go back to law school. Was there for about a year, but a lot of people that I worked with who were older, a generation older than me, this was their career, their 30, 40-year career.
Vested people.
Absolutely. I've had, 6 different careers, and I'm 36 years old. And so being able to be flexible, realize that it's okay to explore and try new things, be an expert at your craft, but be flexible enough to try new things.
Have you figured out what you're really good at and what you're not good at?
I would say I know the things that I'm
Jordan
not.
and I are friends, so I can tell him what he's not good at pretty quickly.
That list is long.
Okay.
That's a long list. Knowing what you're not good at is critically important. Saying no to clients because we're not the best person or best firm to serve them has been absolutely liberating.
But it's so hard in the early
It's
game.
so hard.
As you're building your business. You look at the monetary and you're like, my banker would want me to say
Absolutely.
yes to that. But the business and you executing is a completely different story.
No, and so many attorneys are generalists where they'll do your divorce, they'll create a company for you, they'll litigate, they'll do real estate, they'll do estate plan, and the law is
They'll sue you in 2 years.
They'll sue you later. The law is so big that if you're not focused on a very particular type of law, you're in many cases doing your client a disservice. So we focus on closely related practice areas of estate planning, elder law, and real property, and we just don't venture from those lanes.
It's a challenging thing for people to get their head wrapped around, and you have to be deliberate with it. But if you look at what the internet has done in the last 10 or 15 years, what it's done is it dramatically increased access.
Yeah.
I can do business with anybody I want to in the world. So that one-stop shop for everything,
Sure.
gosh, it's really not that viable, unless you're Amazon.
Right.
It's really about it, right? But having that narrow road to where, and if you do that correctly, and I know you're doing this in your business, you'll gladly say no to this type of business, but you will partner with said person who is good at that type of business.
Absolutely.
And you have this working relationship where, like, look, man, this is your lane, this is my lane. You stay on this highway, I'm staying on this highway. You like that highway better, I don't like that highway. And you have a pretty good team developed. So that's
absolutely.
I think that's how at least what I've learned from my mentors. That's how, like, the people who really thrive and go to work and don't want to immediately leave and walk out the door. That's what they're doing.
Sure. And we love referring work out to other attorneys.
Sure.
And if it's a corporate matter, we know, okay, these are the people who are going to handle it the best. I joke with my friends and family, and if I ever get arrested, should they call me? And I say, no, call somebody who knows what to do with it.
Sure.
I haven't looked at
I'm just going to make fun of you.
I'll make fun of it. I haven't looked at a criminal matter since criminal 1, 13 years ago.
There you go.
You don't want a dermatologist doing open heart surgery on you. They're both doctors, but they both do entirely different things. Same thing as with the legal profession. Attorneys who are generalists can't possibly have the depth of knowledge on your practice area that you need to truly efficiently take care of their clients.
So you do business with a fair amount of business owners.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have a vast network of people, and you have a pretty good keen on what has made some of these people successful.
For sure.
And what they have completely pushed away, and what they do day in, day out. Mm-hmm. Is there any similarities?
Absolutely. I think whether it's a factory owner who's hammering out widgets,
sure,
or it's running a law firm or running a marketing company, it doesn't matter. Know what you know and know it to the best that you could possibly know it. Now, obviously, there's going to be ancillary services and goods that you add to that. But if you don't know what your core function is, and if you can't identify it in like 6 seconds, this is exactly what we do, your business is going to struggle.
So I'm at a conference, for the building industry, and a good friend of mine, partner of ours, where we do some stuff together. He's speaking. He asked this question: "Tell me what you do tell me your story, tell me your elevator speech. So that is within under 30 seconds is like max, but it's got to be more like 15, right? And we have people in there that they're not outside salespeople. They are running organizations that are 9-10 figures, right? These are pretty. And put a camera on somebody and mic them up and have them do that. We couldn't find one person that could do it confidently.
Right.
Literally, you have men and women in there, that just struggle with it. So it's one of those things. And I know we've gone through it too. We still go through it. Is clarity, right? When you gain clarity and you're willing to push away and just travel down that road and like hard, fast, and not deviate from that road. You got to be patient, but good things happen.
Sure.
Long term, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, and that leads to a good point. The more business owners that we work with, their success doesn't happen overnight. It's the little things that they do every single day. We're going to get a little bit better. We're going to get 0.01% better today than we were yesterday. We're going to get a little more efficient in what we do.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you look, and 15 years later their success, people see the success and they forget that, I started in the kitchen on a card table,
right,
but got a little bit better every single day on what we were doing.
And this is such a cool area that we live here in West Michigan, not only for all the breweries, which we're enjoying right now, but there are plenty of business owners that are very unassuming, that have been there, done that, and have, taken out faulty used car loans to build their business and figured out, I don't know how the hell they did it, but figured out how to grow and do this, and let's do that, let's put it in. And it would take sometimes 5, sometimes 10, sometimes 15 years. And this transitions me, and I know where you're going to go with this. This transitions to me is I want people to get value that are trying to grow a business or trying to be very meaningful in their position, maybe if it's not a business, just kind of what it takes to be niche and know what you're good at. Yeah. But also for the younger generation, if you're, what are you going to tell your kids when they're going into high school, when they're going to college? What would you tell a college student now?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the price, man. It's the, I know you're used to getting everything on your phone like that, but that's not like, it just takes, it takes time. That's what I would say. What would you say to the younger generation of what you've learned?
Yeah, it reminds me of a conversation that I had with my wife. It was on our anniversary, and we said, okay, if we could go back.
He's much better looking than he is.
It was way out of my league. What would you go back and tell 23-year-old Jordan and Leah as they were about to get married? Who don't, still wet behind the ears, And I would tell them, and this is the same thing I would tell to somebody who's looking to get either start a business or get into their career. It's way harder than you can ever imagine, and it's way more worth it than you can ever imagine. The highs are that much higher, and the lows can be that much more difficult because you can plan everything, and it can all still go to hell. The bottom can just drop out of the world. Look at 2008, 2009.
I don't want to go through it again. I was working for a company, but I know part of what I figured this out was just continuing to ask myself why, right? The Simon Sinek book, why? I know that I'm driven because I work to help businesses succeed so they can give to the community, so they can employ more people, so they can do. I know that's a big reason why, because when I graduated college, my entire next 5 years of experience was companies going from 2,000 people to 900 people.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because I was a young guy. I probably should get riffed because I don't have a family and kids. Like, I'll figure it out. I'll go hang out in mom's basement or whatever.
Sure.
But these were like my friends who were literally losing their jobs with families and stuff. And it wasn't anything that they did. It was just a massive economic downturn that literally was a shellacking, right?
Sure.
Now, having said that, I think it makes us all smarter. I hope so. I hope we remember our lessons there and understanding that there is understanding that it's not always that easy. I guess if looking back on it, it sucked, and you went through some tough things too.
Absolutely.
But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? You kind of understand how to navigate things, and it's not always. And you enjoy the upside more. I think you enjoy the successes even more because you've seen the down.
Absolutely. And it's not just about somebody, screwing up and not being successful. That happens. It's when you do everything right and you play by the rules but the bottom just drops out.
Sure.
And that's life. So
life.
It's all that, whether they're, coming out of high school, coming out of college, looking to get into business, you think you have this great career arc where it's going to be, just a slow, steady climb, and then at 60
the straight line thing?
Yeah, the straight line at 65 years old, you retire.
Yeah.
That's just not how reality works.
That's interesting you bring that up, because I'm asked from a lot of my network that would be of the baby boomer age, and you're 36, I'm 33, so I'm the older millennial, so they would call it. But what do you think the work life is going to be like, or what's the progression for the people coming out of college or currently, our age right now?
Sure.
What's it going to look like between now and 65? Where, man, if you grew up in Metro Detroit, 30 years ago, like a lot of those people didn't even think about going to college.
No,
I'm going to go to GM Ford, I'm good.
I'm graduating from high school. The next day I'm at the factory, and 30 years later I'm done.
I'm done. I'm good. Like, I'm 85% of what they salary,
Right.
of what they made, and benefits and whatever. Well, that's just doesn't even exist.
Right.
So, your kids are how old?
8 and 7.
All right. What do you think work experience is going to be like for them?
It's going to be faster than even what we experience now. In 15 years, who knows what the world's going to look like. Looking back what 15 years was from now, you never could have predicted where we would be with technological advancements. And you look at things like the largest travel company doesn't own any cabs, Uber.
Right.
You look at all the
Biggest real estate company doesn't own any homes.
Doesn't own, exactly.
The valuation is based on connection, not assets, or not tangible
Biggest
assets.
content company in the world doesn't own any content.
Doesn't own any
Facebook,
content.
Instagram.
Right.
You take all of the things that everybody knew to be absolutely truth, and companies have turned it completely on its head. So what do we know absolutely right now that is truth that in 15 years will not be? So I think it's going to be 1,000 miles an hour, even compared to where we are now. I think the day of you join a company, you make maybe one career change, and you kind of work your way up the totem pole, those days are gone.
I think so too. I think there's a demand for more individual brands. We're having our team do it here in the first quarter, but I want them to create some of their own individual brands for them, because I think there's going to be a necessity for you to be light on your feet, and maybe a better opportunity for you for freelance things, for partnership things, and not just that plug into a company and call it good.
Sure.
But the speed of information and the speed and how communication has shifted is really, really disrupting a lot of things, and it's challenging for us to take a look at. I mean, and I know some of my friends and some of our clients. You're 60 plus years old. You're like, whoa, because it was somewhat similar for the first 3 quarters of their working career.
Sure.
And then the internet button had them just completely shifted. So, I don't have a crystal ball like that, but I know you said flexibility. I would say like agility, and you don't have to predict the future, but when you see some kind of thing starting to happen, you got to jump all in.
Yeah.
Some companies are falling victim to analyzing some trend for 2 years and see if it's going to work, and that trend that started 2 years ago,
It's gone. It's gone.
right? So,
and I think something that lends off the last couple things we've been talking about was people need to understand is the connections that they can make, even if they get no direct benefit from, are incredibly important. It's not simply I sent you a client and therefore in my mind I've got this running tally of, okay, you need to send me a referral and then we're even again.
yeah, it's not linear. It's not one-to-one.
It is, if we can make a connection that adds value to somebody else, the value that you get, whether it's more often than not, it's not direct, but the indirect value you get from building that value network is incredibly important. And so I hope my kids, specifically my kids, realize the value in the value network, not simply, I scratch your back and you're going to scratch my back, because that's not how
bigger than that.
It has to be bigger than that.
Yeah.
You've got to have 1,000 connections with everybody, transferring value to each other. Whether it's I can't
matter
help
what it is.
Yeah, I can't help a client as well as you can, or I don't do this at all. But you know what? I know somebody who can, so I want to make sure that you two get in touch. And
Well, that's real too, man. When we say that to people, they're like, "Wow, you actually are saying no in some kind of way." I'm like, "Look, man, you're better off doing this and this and this, because this guy over here has got that nailed, and that's
Sure.
just not my world."
And it's not the true underlying, like, you can't be doing that just to get somebody back. Like, it has to be about, I just want to make, they're on a journey and this is going to help them because they need to connect with somebody else.
Right.
Not simply, I want to connect them so Isaac sends me somebody back later.
You do that at 25 years old, 26 years old, and I guarantee something will happen sometime in your life where it comes back to you tenfold.
Yeah.
But it might not be till you're 40.
Exactly.
It might not be till you're 50. But when it does happen, you'll be like, man, I'm glad I put that in.
It's-
Man, I put that in.
You know, we jokingly say, you know, it's karma, it's whatever. It's not, but it's just creating a big enough value network that you're helping other people outside yourself.
Here's what will not change is we forget how emotionally driven a human is, right? Like, even engineers, right, who want to do, and accountants who like spreadsheets and stuff like that, they're still emotional. We are emotional animals, human beings. So means of connection, how we communicate, you know, things that we're doing, virtual reality, all this kind of stuff like that. It still comes down to human emotions, and you need and trust. Trust is safety to us. The more you put value into somebody else from an emotional level, whatever that is, and you do it expecting nothing in return, it's just like a pure, transparent, authentic thing to do. That always works because you are literally unlocking their ability to feel more emotional about you.
Yep.
I guess, I mean, and that is, I think that's why the baby boomer generation hates some parts of internet marketing and some parts of like e-commerce, is because they feel the emotional connection going away from their business. I mean, it's kind of, you know, with that the handshake is going away, when really you just have to create that emotional connection in a different way.
Sure.
People are still emotional creatures, but where the emotion is tied into and stuff like that may not be this 3-hour lunch that they want to take you out to. It might be doing different things online. So it's just, but I think that's when that it's important for people to remain that constant, that you know, people are emotional humans, right? Where whatever happens in the you know, the state of things and how fast things move, there are still emotional desires and needs that people need to have.
Yeah.
And if you're able to fill those in many different ways, and you're in the community that you choose to be your tribe, long term you win. I can't guarantee you get a lead tomorrow.
Right.
But long term you win.
Yes. And, you know, dealing with what the practice area that we do, and dealing with estate planning, and dealing with elder law, and dealing with, you know, trust and estate administration, we often deal with people making life's biggest decisions about some of the biggest things in life. You know, death and what to do with their stuff. And you know what, my daughter, I don't want her to have my stuff because of X, Y, and Z. So we're around people kind of at their rawest. And if we can get them down, and it's a good thing, it's sometimes a difficult thing, but ultimately it's a good thing if they can have these realizations that, okay, this is what I want to do with my stuff, and here's why. Take all of the technology and the speed away. Ultimately, it's people making decisions about their loved ones, and you don't get any more raw than that in many cases.
Perfect. We'll finish off. A couple quick questions for you. Favorite restaurant in Grand Rapids?
Leo's.
Say 5 Guys. Okay, Leo's. All right.
And Brewery Vivant.
Absolutely. Let's see. Last book you read?
Rocket Fuel.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Good one.
That's a really good one. All right. Last podcast. You're a podcast guy?
I'm not a podcast. I did.
Any audio? Did you read the books, or you do audiobooks?
So I read. Okay. I actually flip pages. The last podcast I did listen to was EntreLeadership.
Okay. I know that one too. Very good. Very good. All right. And again, where can we find Jordan Bush?
You can find us at Alice Law, ALLES law.com. And if you have any estate planning needs, real estate needs, worried about paying for long-term care, worried about mom and dad, give us a call. The way we do it is we sit down for free, talk about your life, talk about what you want to accomplish out of your estate plan, and we give you some legal tools, and then we go from there.
Well, just like you said, there's got to be a trust factor, and you got to work together as well. I mean, when you enter these things, it's a pretty raw point, like you said. So that free sit down with them to see if you guys vibe and see what the direction is perfect. So,
absolutely.
All right. Go visit my boy Jordan Bush. Hey, buddy, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
We're not done here.
No, we're not.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya.